Are you a car enthusiast or a do-it-yourself mechanic? Boy, do I have a deal for you. I have found a place that believes in what I believe in. They stand for conservative values. They don't go after that woke agenda. Plus, they have the best prices in auto parts. Get your parts where I get them, Kane Auto Supply. No more running around town trying to find the right parts. They're on their way to me. Why wait? Get your auto parts shipped directly to you, fastest and the best prices. Kane Auto Supply, a proud sponsor of the Get Over It podcast.
If you're in addiction, you have got to be all in on quit. You got to have your mind right and you got to have your heart right, or it's not going to work. I woke up one morning and I was hungover as usual. I felt terrible. I looked in the mirror. I was pale, fat, totally unhealthy. I looked like death. I think I was just sick and tired of being tired and sick, man. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I actually talked to myself in the mirror out loud. And I said, man, what are you doing? You're about to lose your wife, your family, your job. And I asked God to help me. Bam! Instantaneously. I have not had one craving since that ended.
Comedian Mickey Bell here for the Get Over It podcast. So glad to have you joining us again this week. Boy, do we have a show for you. But before we get to the show, you need to like, comment, and share. Do it with me again now. Like, comment, share. Let's get the word out. From the Holiday Inn in Athens, Georgia, this country music singer became a sensation by singing jingles. Yes, you've heard him on the Coca-Cola commercial, Taco Bell, McDonald's, and many more. T. Graham Brown, a member of the Grand Ole Opry, is about to join us, and I don't want you to miss it. It's time to get over it. Oh, I am so excited. So excited. The man that I have been wanting to talk to is with us right now, Mr. T. Graham Brown. How are you, T?
Brother Bell, I am doing wonderfully well.
Wonderfully well. You were telling me that you are battling some groundhogs and you're losing.
Yeah, right this minute I'm losing, but maybe by tonight I'll have the upper hand.
So are you getting on YouTube or searching out how to catch and kill a groundhog, or are you just going back to some old farmer's tales?
No, I don't kill them. I got a trap that they go in there and eat, and this trap door closes behind them and they can't get
And then you go dispose of them.
I put them in the back of the truck and take them across the river and about 3 miles away and let them go. But they always find their way back. I guess
you're feeding them too well.
Boy, we got a lot of stuff they eat on, that's for sure. We were wondering what was eating our flowers, and I was doing a Zoom call yesterday, and I looked up and I saw that groundhog out the back door eating on my flowers. So I went,
Now I know that. See, because I'm gonna let the audience know that we were supposed to have T. Graham in studio, and they told me that some things had changed. He needed to do a Zoom call. And I said, okay, I didn't realize it was because he was too scared to face the groundhog to be able to get off the porch, to be able to get out of his house. So he is stuck in his house right now, and this groundhog has got him held hostage.
I'm terrified. Shaking in my boots.
Shaking. Well, listen.
Actually, I don't have any boots on. I'm barefooted right now.
You barefooted. You can do that when you're T. Graham Brown. You can wear whatever you want to an interview. I love it. So
I got my short pants on and my golf shirt.
Yeah, just don't drop that camera. We'll be all right.
That's it.
Yeah. Take me back to your childhood. What was it like growing up as T. Graham Brown?
Oh, it might have been a lot like yours. I grew up in Georgia. I'm from Athens, just outside of Athens. Both sides of my family were farmers, and we actually still got this farm, been in our family 7 generations. And
wow.
It's about 20 miles outside of Athens. And so when my daddy graduated from Georgia in 1960, I think it was, I would have been 6. I was born in 54. we moved down to this little town in South Georgia. He built a grain elevator down there. 300 people lived in it. It's called Araby, Georgia. So I did my boyhood years down there. I moved back up to Athens when I was in the 10th grade. So most of my growing up was down there. And it was agriculture, lots of farmers. My daddy dealt with farmers every day. And, back then we'd ride our bicycles and play baseball, football, and all. We had a little kind of vacant lot we played all the sports in. And I had a little transistor radio. A lot of people don't know what a transistor radio is.
Right, right.
When I grew up in the 60s, there was no such thing as FM. It was just AM,
Yes.
I listened to the radio a lot. I mean, a really lot. And I listened to whatever they were playing on the radio, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Paul Revere and the Raiders. And then I would hear Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, all the country stuff, all the soul stuff, all the rock and roll, everything. My favorite thing to do was at night, I would get into bed and get up under the covers and get that little transistor radio out, and I would scroll through the AM dial really slowly, and I could pick up these clear channel stations from, 6, 7 states away. And it was kind of like my vehicle to get out of Araby. I would dream about, I wonder what New Orleans is like, or I wonder what Chicago's like, or Nashville, wherever it was. And so I listened to music a lot. My family wasn't really musical, but I sang in the church, and I grew up in a little bitty Baptist church. My bedroom window, our house backed up to a railroad track. Went down the middle of this little town. All the black people lived on one side, all the white people lived on the other side. And I would open my bedroom window up in the summer when it was hot, and I'd sleep at the foot of the bed. I would put my head down where my feet would ordinarily be, because that's where the screen was. And
oh my goodness,
the first band I ever heard, real band with drums and guitars and all that, was the black church right across the tracks. I could hear it just clear as well. I could throw a baseball over there. So it was really close. And so I heard, that kind of soulful gospel music too.
Is that what got you hooked?
Just sang all my life, just goofing off, I'd be singing in the outfield. I was a baseball player. I went to Georgia to play baseball. And I graduated from Athens High. They called it Clark Central when I graduated from it, and went to Georgia. And I wasn't getting to play. I was really frustrated, because I'd always been on all the All-Star, All-State, all that stuff.
Right.
I was a pretty good baseball player. And but when you get to the SEC, the competition level goes up.
It does. It really does.
So I had a friend in high school in Athens that had a guitar. And when somebody's mom and daddy would go out of town, we would all go over there and have a big party, and then we'd clean the house up really well. There was a party. But so at these parties, we'd, be drinking beer and goofing off. And so I would get up there and sing a few songs just for my friends. One of my friends happened to work at a Holiday Inn when we got to Georgia, and he said, "Man, there's a bar upstairs and nobody's ever in that place. Maybe you and Dirk can go sing a couple of songs for this guy. Who knows, he might hire you."
Wow.
And we didn't know anything. So we went in there that afternoon and we sang, I don't know, 4 or 5 songs that we had kind of crammed and learned. And well, the guy said, "I'll hire you, and I'll pay you $150 a week if you'll play Tuesday through Saturday."
My goodness.
So let me think about it. That was in September of '73, and we were having fall baseball practice. I went to practice, and I told my coach, real nice, grandfatherly kind of guy, Jim Watley was his name. And I said, Coach, I can't stand sitting on the bench. Uh, I've had an offer to sing and I can go make some money. I want to play baseball, but I just can't stand sitting on the bench. What do you think I ought to do? And he put his hand on my shoulder, I remember, and he looked deep into my eyes and he said, Tony, if I was you, I'd go sing. So that was the end of my baseball career and the beginning of my singing career. So we started at the Holiday Inn in Athens in October of '73, and I've never done anything else for a living since then.
That is crazy. That is just how these stories come about just amazes me. You had to learn songs. I mean, to sing Tuesday through Saturday, that had to be a lot of songs you had to learn.
Well, I had to learn enough for like 4 sets a night. We had to cram and learn some songs, but we did it. And like I said, our clientele was kids just like us.
Oh, okay.
University of Georgia students, fraternity, sorority people, and we would play the fraternity and sorority parties and all. We would sing at night and get up in the morning and go to class. And we paid our tuition by singing. So
wow,
we kind of, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We sang at night and probably got off at 12 o'clock, something like that, and got up in the morning and went to class.
How did you get from the Holiday Inn in Athens, Georgia to Nashville, Tennessee to the Grand Ole Opry?
We were playing beach music back then.
Okay.
And then I saw a documentary. I came home. I bought a house when I was 19. We were making pretty good money. And so I bought my first house when I was 19. And it was me and a few other guys that were going to Georgia live with me. And I came home from class one day and turned the TV on, and the local PBS station was running a documentary on this guy named David Allen Coe, this outlaw country guy, and who later went on to be friends of mine. But anyway, I said, I'm going to be that guy. So I told Dirk, I pretty much gave Dirk 2 weeks notice and grew my hair out long and was an outlaw country guy for 3 years. Then I put a soul band together called T. Graham Brown's Rack of Spam. I did that for 3 years. And then in 1982, Sheila and I were living at the farm, and Sheila finished up her master's work at Georgia and came home one day and said, we need to move to Nashville. I was scared too. And she said, we need to go because if we don't, you're going to be second guessing yourself the rest of your life. So
my goodness.
We packed up and we were gone within 6 weeks. And we had a 59 Ford and a 63 Volkswagen and packed it up and moved to Nashville. And Sheila had been admitted to vet school. She was going to be a veterinarian. And I asked her, I said, what about vet school? And she said, well, if it doesn't work out, I can always come back and go to vet school.
My goodness. When you compare what the new artists have to do today compared to how you got in back in the day, what is the biggest difference?
Everything's different. TikTok makes a lot of stars these days. The internet, digital music, Spotify, Pandora, buying albums on iTunes. They don't sell physical CDs very much anymore.
Right.
It's just totally different. Everything's different.
So what was the process for you? You come and sing in front of record execs? Do you come and get hired in a bar at the Holiday Inn in Nashville? How did it happen for you?
No, I never did any gigging around Nashville, really. I went over to Music Way and talked my way into singing songwriters' demos. A songwriter will write a song and the publishing company will go into a studio and record the tracks. And then they would hire me to put the vocals on these new songs.
Right.
And then they would pitch these songs around town, to producers and record companies. And so it got to where the record companies were saying, yeah, that's a nice song, but who's that guy singing it? And that led to Capitol Records offering me a deal from, and that's how my voice got passed around Music Row on these songwriter demos. That's how I did it. I don't know if that necessarily happens anymore. I don't really know. I'm so far out of the loop, Mickey. I don't know really how it's done.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think anybody. I asked a guy the other day. I said, "How's it done these days?" And they said nobody knows.
Really?
It's just all different avenues. People will make a video and put it up on YouTube, and it'll get 1 million views or something.
Yeah.
You pretty much got. I think I've been told you pretty much have to be a star before a record company will sign you.
Yeah. It's kind of going backwards.
You got to kind of do the record company's work for them, because they won't sign people if they don't have X amount of TikTok followers or Instagram. They really look at those numbers now. That's a really big part of it. If you don't have good numbers, or they don't think your numbers are good enough, they won't mess with you.
When I was struggling with my mental health, one of the biggest obstacles I had to overcome was being willing to talk to someone. And for some of you, you may be in that same state where you don't want to leave your home. You don't trust anyone in your community that you can talk with. I want to introduce you to BetterHelp. They have licensed therapists that is able to take you and actually talk to you via Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. These are licensed therapists. You can talk about faith, or you can not talk about faith. It doesn't matter. They're going to have something specific just for you. If you would like to receive a 10% discount for your first initial call, all you got to do is check out BetterHelp in the show notes below. I just miss the days like what you're describing, where you just got to come to Nashville and people heard you, and once they heard you, then you worked your way into a deal to where you could get the success that you've had. You had another run of success too, because you got into TV commercials.
I started them when I was singing demos. I did a McDonald's commercial that they aired on the Super Bowl. This was before I got a record deal, and it was really popular. And the big ad agency that did that, they handle the accounts for cars and trucks and beer and soft drinks. And man, I think I've probably done as many commercials as anybody in history.
Wow.
I've done, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, 7-Up, Hardy, KFC, Wendy's, Burger King. I was the Taco Bell guy on TV.
Yes. Run for the border.
Yeah, I did Miller, Stroh's, Coors, Budweiser, every car and truck. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. I did that for 7 years. Disneyland, just on and on. I did a lot of jingles.
So you had a pretty good career just in doing jingles.
Yeah. We're making a good living just doing that. But that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
I still do them if somebody wants me to. Hey, Mickey, they're real easy.
Yeah.
For me, singing a jingle is like falling off a log. It's that working in the studio. They liked me back in the day because I could sing, but they liked me because I was fast in the studio, and I saved them money.
Right.
And I just got to where I was real quick in the studio, and I still am.
So you started doing this video or this song with a guy by the name of George Jones, and the song was "I Don't Need No Rocking Chair." Tell me how that came about.
Well, George was one of my best friends, and he wanted a bunch of us to sing on it. It wasn't just me. It was like 7 of us that sang on it or something like that. I know Travis Tritt. I got a picture of us standing around the microphone that day, and I'm actually got my mouth open singing. So it was right when we were doing it. And Clint Black was there, and I think Joe Diffie was there, and Mark Chestnut, and Garth Brooks, and there was a bunch of us. I can't remember exactly who all. But we all won CMA award for it. That was a
That's
lot of
pretty
fun
good.
doing
That's
that.
pretty good.
Announced it. It was so funny. They announced it, the winner of the CMA award, and it was all of us. So we all went up there on stage, but George had gone to the bathroom. He missed the whole thing.
That is so good. That is so good. All right. So all the stories that I hear about George Jones, you think it's true?
Yes.
Yeah. Every one of
Hey,
them.
I know for a fact they're true.
Every one of them.
Because I was right there in the middle of it. So,
Yeah. Were you just admiring, observing, or instigating it?
oh man, George Jones and I have done a lot of shows together. We've been drunk together and we've been sober together. And
Yeah.
I've been right there.
I hear you. Of course, now that kind of leads us into that fact that we talk about the success that you've had, but you also have some obstacles that you have overcome, and you're kind of open about that. Can you just share some of those things that you fought through to be able to sit here today and talk about the fact that you're succeeding not just in the music career, but just in life in general?
I got to where I was drinking way too much. I started drinking in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I never was one to be able just to have one or two. I always drank to get drunk. And I drank, golly, every day of my life. Just,
Wow.
you know, yeah, and smoked pot every day of my life.
Yeah.
For probably 30 years, something like that. But anyway, it just got to where I was drinking way too much. And I never missed a show, but I I was probably on stage less than a handful of times when I shouldn't have been up there.
Goodness.
As far as being drunk or stoned or pilled up or whatever. But there was a bunch of us that drank a lot. Keith Whitley was like a brother to me, and he drank himself to death. God rest his soul. He was a wonderful guy, but he just had some demons he couldn't overcome. But yeah, man, I got to where I was getting up in the morning pouring vodka in my coffee and firing up a joint. If I had a pill, I'd take a pill, whatever. Hey, man, I've done every drug that exists.
Wow.
Every one of them. I never have smoked any crack because I thought I'd love it too much. And it would
Wow.
well, I just had this addictive personality, I guess. You know, I'd try to quit. I couldn't stay quit. I would get on the horse and ride a while and fall off. And I did that several times. I went to rehab out in Tucson. That didn't do me any good. I just woke up one day. What happened is if you're going to quit any of that, if you're in addiction, you have got to be all in on quitting. You got to have your mind right and you got to have your heart right. So, or it's not going to work. It just is not going to work. So I woke up one morning. I'll be 70 in October. So this was probably when I was 54 or 5. I didn't write the date down. Sheila says it's been about 15 years ago. And by the way, Sheila was here all through that and married to me and living with it and raising our son and all that. And I was kind of off in another world somewhere. It was not good. So anyway, I woke up one morning and I was hungover as usual. And I felt terrible. I looked in the mirror. I was pale. I looked like death. I was fat. It was just totally unhealthy. And I think I was just sick and tired of being tired and sick, man. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I actually talked to myself in the mirror out loud. And I said, man, what are you doing? You're just about to blow everything. You're about to lose your wife, your family, your job. You're smarter than this. You need to do something about this. And I asked God to help me, and bam, instantaneously. I have not had one craving since that instant.
Wow.
God delivered me from that addiction, just like turning a light switch off. It was gone. All of a sudden, I went from looking for a buzz 24/7 to never thinking about it at all.
Wow. That is amazing.
Well, it was God. Here's another thing that goes pretty much hand in hand with this. Sheila saw this doctor on television, and he was talking about bipolar. He's a psychiatrist. He's world renowned, and he's now our psychiatrist. He's a wonderful man. Robert Jameson, just a wonderful man. He's kind of a grandfatherly guy too. He's a pharmacological psychiatrist. He has a doctorate in psychiatry, and he has a doctorate in pharmacology, which is drugs and their interaction. So he knows how to give you so many milligrams of this one, so many milligrams of that one. He can adjust your medicine and make it work for you. So Sheila heard him talking about bipolar, and she said, "That's Tony right there." Mm. And so it turns out I've been bipolar my whole life, and that answers some questions for me of being so getting manic and being so crazy. I'm not excusing myself at all, but that bipolar I think came into play with all that stuff.
Well, you kind of figured out what was feeding the beast.
My doctor told me all that drinking and drugging. He said, "Man, you were self-medicating. You were trying to feel normal." Mm-hmm. And after he got me on medicine, there's no cure for it, but they make medicines that can alleviate the symptoms. And I have to have my medicines changed from time to time or adjusted, milligrams adjusted. But it allows me to live a normal life. And every time I do a show, I speak on addiction. It doesn't matter where I am. Mm-hmm. If I'm at a festival or a fair or a theater or a church, whatever it is, I always tell them what I'm telling you right now. And I tell people that you don't have to live like that. There's a way out. And if you're suffering from mental illness, go find a good doctor and get diagnosed and get you some medicine.
Yes.
You don't have to live that way. Correct. You don't have to live in the throes of addiction. There's a way out. And I'm going to tell you something. God is the way out. Mm-hmm. And I firmly believe that. Sheila and I make my living singing mainly. But Sheila and I's personal ministry and what we wake up every day and try to do, we just want to help people. We want to save people some trouble. Mm-hmm. And I try to tell people my story. And man, you would not believe, I wrote this song called Wine in the Water. And that thing has gone around the world. It never was a hit. It's had millions and millions of views on YouTube from people that are looking for an answer, right, or their family, or people, suicidal people have used that song to help them. Every show we do, everyone, it never fails. Every week, even if we don't have a show, I get emails. I get all kinds of stories. We're writing a Wine in the Water book right now, and all this is people's stories of how they got sobered up.
That is so good, and it's so needed.
Yeah, the Wine in the Water, God's using that song to help people. I got a message. A guy said, "Hey, I just left a meeting in Birmingham, England, of 500 folks standing up singing Wine in the Water."
Wow.
I got a message from this filmmaker in India. They have this film industry. It's called Bollywood. And he said, "I saw your video, the Wine in the Water video on YouTube. The guy made a feature film about it. I mean, a regular, real movie. And it's called Grace, and it's about redemption, and it's in a language I can't speak. It's called Mizoram. And they're singing Wine in the Water, and there's drug deals going down. There's alcoholism. There's a guy shooting himself. being locked up and all this, but in the end, it's all good. So wine in the water, and I urge people, wine in the water might not help you, but it won't hurt you to go
Yeah.
online and look up wine in the water and just watch it one time, because it's helped a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah, you need to check that out. What I'm finding out when I share my story, dealing with my bout with mental illness, the things that I have fought through myself, people just like to hear they're not alone. One of
yeah,
the things that I find, there's some encouragement when they hear these stories, and that's what I'm excited about your book for, is the fact that people that are in a battle, people that are struggling, just knowing they're not alone, and having someone like you that can stand up there and say, "I fought through that and I won," gives people hope that they can win too.
yeah, man. There's no doubt you can win. I mean, it's a it's a given that you will win. I found out, man, and this goes for alcoholism, drug addiction, whatever, mental illness. I thought at one time, I thought I was all alone, and
Hmm.
I know you did too.
Hmm.
And but I found out, and I didn't want to sing "Wine in the Water" in front of anybody, because I didn't think I was worthy of it yet. And I found out that everybody is either just like me or knows somebody really close to
Hmm.
them just like me.
Hmm.
So it touches everybody in one way
Yeah.
or another. And but there, hey man, on the mental illness side, find a good doctor and get
Yes.
diagnosed and get on some medicine. You got to do
Absolutely.
this, people. You got to do this. And if you're in addiction, you got to get your mind right and your head right and your heart right. You got to want to do it. If you're not all in, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, you got to make up your mind. So you get your life together, things get on track, and then probably one of the biggest honors that I think that a person in country music can experience, and that is the fact that you got invited to be a member of the Grand Ole Opry. Tell me what it was like and how what it meant to you to receive that recognition.
Wow, ain't that something?
Oh,
That's a,
I'm just trying to get there, T. I'm
that's
just trying to get backstage.
well, I'm sure. Hey, I can get you backstage, and I can put in a good word for you as being a comedian.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
no,
What was it like?
I'll be there Saturday night. I'll put in a good word for you.
I appreciate that.
I've watched what you do online, and you're funny.
Well, thank you.
You would be great at the Opry, no
Thank
doubt
you so
about it.
much. I appreciate that.
But yeah, it is the highest honor that Sheila and I've ever gotten, and it would have never happened if I hadn't straightened up.
Wow.
They wouldn't have given me the time of day.
Was that the reason that it took so long, or do you know?
No, I wouldn't go around them drunk. No,
Yeah. I was just wondering what took them so long to bring you in,
that is a question I can't answer. But
but you're in.
the good news is I'm in
Yeah,
finally.
you're in.
I've been going out there for 40 years, man. And
Goodness.
I'm glad I've done that Opry almost 400 times.
My
and,
goodness.
and they finally pulled the trigger, and it's wonderful. Vince Gill surprised me. You know, I have a show on Sirius XM,
Right?
and I was interviewing Vince for my show. And when at the end of the interview, you know, I said, "Well, Vince, thanks for coming by and all." You know how you end the interview.
Yeah.
And he said, wait a minute. He said, "How many times have you played the Grand Ole Opry?" And I told him, and he said, "Well, this whole interview's been a setup.
Oh,
The Opry sent me to ask you if you'd like to be a member." And I thought he was kidding. We've been friends for 40 years, and I thought he was good. He's a jokester too,
uh,
and I'm a goofball, and I don't know if he's a big goofball as I am, but I thought he was pulling my leg because I said, "Oh, bull," because
yeah.
they filmed it, and and the Opry people walked out. They were hiding, and once I saw them, I knew it was real, and so it was wonderful. To answer your question, it felt great,
Man,
and
I was so proud of you. I was so proud of you. Couldn't wait to watch the night that they actually did the induction. I was on the road traveling, so I was having to watch it online. But man, that was just a very, very special moment. And I was so proud for you.
I'm proud too. It was a proud moment, and Sheila was there with me. Sheila's always with me. We travel together. We go everywhere together. We've been together for 46 years, man.
My goodness.
And we're having more fun now than we ever had. But
I hear
anyway,
you.
the Opry's fun. They've been working me a lot since the induction. I'll tell you that. But that's good. That's a good.
Hey, it took you long enough to get in. Now they got to make up for all that time.
It's wonderful being a member of the Grand Ole Opry.
That is precious.
That's a nice feather to have in your cap.
So with everything that you've had going on in your life, you mentioned the radio show that people can listen to, which I love, on XM radio. You talk about the music, the jingles, the fame, the fortune, all of it. When it's all said and done, what do you hope people say about T. Graham Brown?
Wow. That I was a good guy, a stand-up guy that tried to help people and, make the world better. I had a guy come up to me the other day. He didn't know anything about me. He asked me what I did for a living. I said, man, I got the best job in the world. I get to make people happy for a living. And that's the way I look at my whole life. I'm God has richly blessed us. And hey, man, it's a great feeling, Mickey.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling being sober, being able to do what God intended me to do. I have no doubt that God put me on this earth to help other people. It might have taken a circuitous route to get here, but I'm here and I'm doing the best I can for God. And hey, you want to hear something pretty cool?
Yeah.
So I cut this little vanity record. It was just something I've been wanting to do. Didn't think that much about it. So I went down to Muscle Shoals. I wanted to cut 14 old 1960 soul songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and I got a few duet partners on it. And it came out a couple of weeks ago, and it debuted at #1 on the blues charts.
Yes, it's crazy. It was so good.
It is crazy, and it's nice to feel relevant at my age, and God's good.
I'm telling you, people today I'm finding are loving it when they can get back to their roots. We got a lot of new stuff going on. We got a new sound coming out. We got a new way of doing things, as we've discussed. But I have found that the more people I talk with, they enjoy going back to what the way it used to be, the way it sounded, the music that we used to have. There are a lot more people going back to that than we realize.
Well, we see a lot of people in our shows that love. So my era on country radio was in the 80s. I had a couple of hits in the early 90s, but mainly the 80s. And 80s country is pretty popular right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We're loving it. I listen to it every day. It takes me back to the place where I first heard those songs, and I love the feeling that it still gives me today.
Hey, you know what, man? When my first album came out, it was 1985 or 6. I can't remember. There was a group of us that came out. Our first albums came out within a year of each other, let's say. Mm-hmm. And it was me and Keith Whitley and Randy Travis, and Marty Stewart, and Steve Earle, and Dwight Yoakam. And we've all remained great friends all these years,
Yeah.
We got a strong bond, and that's a really good feeling too.
That's a great list of names there. T. Graham, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'm just honored to be able to talk with you, and can't wait to see you again, and everything that you're doing to help people. Just thank you. Thank you for being so vulnerable and open and allowing your life tragedies to help other people. You're inspiring a lot of people, and I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Did I give you all you wanted?
Everything and more.
All right.
T. Graham Brown, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.